intelligence. Hi everyone, you're welcome again to another episode on Future of Work, AI and Human-Centered Revolution. Today, we are diving into the bold future of work, and I couldn't think of a better guest to explore this with than Brad Davis. So let's talk about who is Brad Davis. Brad is a seasoned product leader with a rich background in AI, productivity, user experience. At Microsoft, he played a pivotal role in the development of Copilot, helping shape how AI integrates into everyday workflows. His career spans across product strategy, design thinking, human-centered innovations, making him one of the most thoughtful voices in the space. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
I'm very happy to be here, man. I'm the one privileged to get to talk to you, so happy to be here.
He was my principal group product manager, and I can remember a lot of stuff that we did together, Copilot adoption, deployment, and Microsoft 365 growth entirely, right? Lately I've been talking more about AI, human-centered, in the point of integration of AI. Maybe you've seen some of my podcasts, and I think this is the new things that I try to read about, try to use my space to talk about, right? So let's go straight. Let's start with the shift we are seeing in leadership. And this is talking about the leadership and skills in the AI era, right? AI is actually changing the game for products and program managers, right? I've read in several books, and one of the books I've read talks about the evolving role of leadership in digital transformation. Like, Nuri Lopez talks about it in his book, Future of Work. So from your perspective, what new skills do you think are now essential for the leader in this new space?
Yeah, it's a really good question. One of the first things that we noticed early on with adoption of Gen AI, like you saw it when ChatGPT first hit. It's been a couple years now. Gosh, time flies. But when ChatGPT first hit, there was a wide disparity of user experience, especially early on, between those that were like, "Oh my gosh, this is incredible," and those that were, what's the big deal? And that came down to communication, how one engaged with the technology. Yeah. Those who engaged with a large language model as if it was a more advanced search engine, this plus that, right? Short sentences, very different experience than natural language. Yeah. Right. So I think one of the first things that's important for leaders to understand that are trying to unlock the incredible productivity gains and just net new workflows. I mean, really, this technology can completely transform how most of us work. And I mean, completely. Yeah. The important thing for leaders to understand is how does it work? Not technically. They don't need to be an AI researcher or a cognitive scientist, but they need to understand how this stuff works. It's not magic. It's very intelligent software design and mathematics. Like, sure, all of that's true, but it's natural language. A really interesting analogy that I find helps folks understand how to engage with this. For those of your viewers that might be Star Trek fans, there's the actual like starship computer and the captain, computer, and the computer responds and he just talks to it, right? He or she just talks to it and it does whatever and it responds, right? Generative AI is not Lieutenant Commander data. Generative AI is the starship computer. When you just you call out and chat to the thing, right? So understanding that that's what we're talking about here, a new user experience with computing, helps you think through how you might use this to transform your work.
So I understand what you're trying to say, like, for the new skills that you yourself needs to know how to use it, right? As a product manager, program managers, right? If you actually want to survive in this new, tech space that we are seeing, I think that's what you're trying to say here, right?
Yes, and like foundationally, how to engage with this, because if you get that, as your team starts to engage, and as you get either pushback or like, oh my gosh, you can help folks through it. Because as a leader, through any change management, you need to lead by example. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you need to know how this works, how to use it, share ideas with others. Yeah. That's one. Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of questions about, how do I try to navigate this, digital transformation as a program manager. And people have the mindset that AI is taking the roles of program managers, product managers. And I think you've been able to give like a very direct response to that. So let's talk about the designing for human in an AI world, right? We often hear the terms human-centered artificial intelligence. And I often talk about it, right? So, in your own experience, what does that really mean in the context of tools like Copilot? Today, some people doesn't still understand the fact that you are the driver when you're using Copilot, right? But in your own context of tools like Copilot, what does it really mean? How do we ensure that AI enhances and not overwhelms the user experience?
Yeah. So, I think from a human-centered perspective, how to think about this. One, it's a natural extension of you. It's a tool. It's an extension of your intelligence. Um, Now, the limiting factors here on how you use that are things like your ability to express yourself in language. Can you articulate clearly what you need this thing to do? This is where each of us, I think, are going to learn and grow. We learned how to use a search engine over the past several decades. Now we're going to need to learn how to relearn, really, how to interact with computing in natural, clear, expressive language. Another is to think about how, with you as the actual intelligence, these tools, whether it's Copilot or not, any Gen AI agentic model, it's using your intelligence to direct it, to help it frame itself in all of the information and then kind of take these steps. You want to think of it as someone that you delegate to, as a part of your team. And I think that's really going to be the crux of where folks are more or less successful in the coming years with this stuff, whether it's a single agent, whether it's multi-agents, teams of agents. Are you able to delegate and leverage these tools as if it was a member of your team with the same kind of clarity, expressive language, expectations, but knowing that the humans on your team have actual intelligence and agency. The AIs on your team depend on your intelligence.
And just like what you said, clear communication. I did a course about prompt engineering. That is the way ChatGPT process our prompt, and how we need to communicate in a way that ChatGPT builds like an intelligence out of it, right? We've nailed it. So yeah, and this is going to lead to another question, which I think is a bit more similar, right? And because when it comes to program management, when it comes to product management, collaborations, creativity, they are core, right? So in one of the book, Human plus Machine, by Paul Doetry, there's an idea of collaborative intelligence, humans and AI working side by side. What does a healthy collaborations between humans and AIs look like in workplace?
Yeah, so this is a good one. This touches on how I use AI day to day. I leverage these large language models to compress my learning cycles from potentially weeks to minutes or hours. If I need to learn a new topic, rather than going to a web browser, searching material, and going through page after page after page after page, that can take, as we all know, days to weeks. I open up Copilot and I say, hey, I need an executive summary on this topic. I want bulleted answers. I want your best high-level sources, and we're going to have a conversation about this to catch me up to speed. And in 5 to 10 minutes, I've compressed weeks of learning, and I'm conversationally competent on a topic. That's one way. Another way is to help me find connections across what appear to be disparate domains of really deep information. Some of the agents that you'll see, like a researcher, for example, on Copilot, is incredible with this. Like you ask a researcher to look at this content, and this content, and find me the themes or connections that stitch across. It can help pull out patterns that you would have found on your own with a ton of time and rigor. It can short circuit that, right? So what would have taken you a month to work through with all the other things you have going on, Copilot or these other agents, these similar tools can compress those cycles down to minutes, which is interesting, right? Because from like an intellectual stamina, like mental bandwidth, we have to relearn how to do that too. It's like any other muscle. We're used to these deep thinking exercises taking weeks. When all of a sudden the information, the actual output is available to you in real time, it's like, I'm mentally exhausted after 15 minutes talking to this thing. So like I need to work on that too. It's interesting how this works.
What metrics truly reflect user impact and ethical innovation?
You can't just take typical usage metrics like you would with a product and throw it onto these new Gen AI experiences and call it good. It's not about how many discrete agents exist in an environment. It's not about how many calls that they get or respond to. Like we have to figure out how to measure like actual like productivity gain, time saved, correct answers, escalations to humans, depending on how you have these things set up. But this is going to be like the next 6 to 12 months, I think, is the industry really understanding, okay, we have agents, we have multi-agents, we have all these substrates, they can talk to each other. Like, how do we know if things are going well? Like, we have to figure out, like, is what's happening meaningful? I don't have a good, like, these are the 5 KPIs. Still trying to figure that out.
It's still beyond, it's beyond engagement, it's beyond usage. I think it's more towards something else. And obviously, I look forward to that point. We're going to talk about change, resilience, and the road ahead.
Sure.
Tech is evolving fast.
Yeah.
That's true. Sometimes unpredictable. From my own personal experience, when I was leading the global team during the adoption of Copilot, right? And I will admit that at some point we struggle to get the team on the rapid shift of adopting the technology. This is a question to you. How can leaders guide their teams through this rapid shift while still fostering a culture of experimentations and resilience?
It's such a good question, because at the end of the day, that's the whole point, right? This tech could be incredible, but if people don't leverage it to do more, what's it all for? I think it's going to require, in the best case, I think it's going to require a ton of emotional intelligence from leaders, situational awareness, and empathy and connection with our teams and our people to understand not just how intimidating entire new industry of technology can be. Like, this is very similar to what electricity felt like when there was none, right? It's like, let's wire your house up for this thing called electricity and get you this machine that'll heat up and toast your bread for you. There's all kinds of shenanigans that was from the natural human response to, this is new and I don't understand it. And like, what is this? This technology is no different. All right, so some folks are going to lean into it. Like, let's go. I'm excited. Let's go. Some folks are going to be like, nope, not touching it. We'll never touch it. And it's going to cause the downfall of civilization. You're going to have those and everything in between, right? So understanding that this technology is a big deal. It's going to challenge how a lot of folks think about the value that they bring versus the value that they could bring with new tools. Folks are going to have AI agents on their team. We have to be sensitive to the real human part of this, helping to lead folks through change. No one gets left behind. And we need to help people come along in this journey in a way that shows them that these tools are force multipliers. For the value that each of us bring, these tools help you force multiply that value. They don't challenge it. They don't do it for you. Right? They really help you force multiply your impact. That's going to take a lot of emotional intelligence and focus on people.
Yeah,
like, I think HR leaders and organizational transformation leaders are going to have a lot to do over the next several years. That's where my mind is at, is the people part of it.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. And to wrap this up, what excites you most about the future of AI and work? And what principle do you believe will always remain essential, no matter how advanced AI becomes?
Yeah, so I'll answer the second question first. Artificial intelligence is not actual intelligence. Human beings and human intelligence, our attention, our consciousness, our intelligence, that's the core, and these tools are extensions of us. I don't believe they will ever replace human beings in that way. There's a big difference between actual intelligence and consciousness and synthetic intelligence and a tool. I don't think that's going to change. That principle is our intelligence is at the center. The adaptability of these tools, they can really go anywhere. Like, I use AI for gardening outside and knowing how to best take care of my pumpkins and synthesizing information outside of work. I can think of, off of my cuff, like 1,000 use cases for this stuff. The next 6 to 10 years are going to be nuts. We're going to see explosions of innovation. That is what excites me. I can see so clearly that we are this close to almost every sector being completely changed and touched by this technology. That's going to be so exciting. Like, ultimately, this frees us up, humans up, to do things that are uniquely human.
All right. So, Brad, this has been a powerful conversation. I always say, we don't just have guests on this show, we build relationships. Before my guests leave, I always like to send them off with a gift, right? So, yes, the thing here, I have 3 books. The first one is The Coming Wave by Mustafa Sulaiman. I have another one, Human Plus Machine by Paul Durrett. It's talking about the practical guide to imaging business with AI at the center, right? Then I have the third one by Nuri Lopez, Vision of Work. So it's going to be like a surprise.
Oh,
This
okay. Deal. Deal.
That's actually bring us to the end of today's podcast. It's a wrap, right? Thank you again, and to everyone listening. So, what would be your final note for the audience?
My final note would be to continue to pay attention to what Martin's doing. Great platform, sharp guy, and anytime he's having a conversation, I'd be interested in it. So keep watching. That'd be my final note.
All right, Brad. Thank you.